I'm totally pronouncing Eyes Dewajir right.
Yes, yeah, it's being said properly, and it pretty much means the move looks is that it's a huge, massive, uh, void color tower that basically depends on the shape of whatever it's trying to encompass. It can be a person, it can be a body part, or just like how it was with the Gamma Fiend, it can be as big as the Gamma Fiend itself, depending on how much power is put into it. The inside of the move, though, feels like you're in an infinite space. It has a direct senses that makes a person feel like they're in a whole other universe. And whether or not it is based off of the whim of the caster, whether he wants to use it in an attack formation, which we've most likely seen, or just recently, where he used it to heal his arms or heal his body and try to help him, retain new arms. Those are the two broken variations of the attack, but once they're used simultaneously, it forms a third almighty type of godlike attempt or attack, which is not yet decided as to how well it can be, because I'm going to let that be like one of RTX's final moves and stuff when it makes sense to have something that powerful.
Okay. Now, a lot of the moves that you send over and submit, or have submitted already, it seems like they have a kind of, is it Middle Eastern flair to it, or is that what they're inspired by?
Middle Eastern, Japanese, African American. I just take like myself, like being mixed, and then also having my interest, kind of formulating all of those into an attack. So a lot of them are, attack formations that you would see, or what you can imagine in a shonen manga or anime or something like that. But I give it the variation of a different Middle Eastern name, or Japanese name, or even African name, or African basis, just to kind of change it and make it different. Because, we all seen the Super Strike Electric Bolt number 35. That doesn't sound right. So you want to have it a different type of name and calling it a certain type of, if you want to do a spear type, attack, then what's the African or Arabic name for storm? And then what's the Japanese word for spear? And then mix those two things together and they formulate a different word.
Okay, that's one thing I think we're going to get a lot of in RTypeX's solo series. We're going to see all his flashy moves. I would even like to catch some scenes where he's actually creating these. Where does he get these moves from? Is he just creating these out of the air, or has he trained in these moves before?
Well, that's a reason. That's funny that you asked that, because there was an actual episode I had thought of in my head where RTX was actually walking the streets of Gamma Haven, and he was talking to a whole bunch of kids. And, it's kind of like where these things where he was just like, in a very comedic type of way, like saying, actually the move he did with the extracting charge of the hidden rhino was something of like, he would sit there and say something elaborate and just making up names and stuff. Eventually down the line, he will be showing it, like, his thought processes and stuff, and how he comes up with these names and what they usually mean. I mean, honestly, I could sit there and devote a whole episode to the formulation of one attack, but I try to keep it simple and small because I'm not trying to overbear the director with so much information and stuff. But yeah, eventually we can see a situation, or try to carve out like maybe 2 or 3 minutes to why he created this name, or why he created this move, or maybe events that happened in the episode that led him to, come up with a move that you might see in the future.
Granted, it's a lot of martial arts and it's a lot of energy manipulation, but you can see something, but you can't duplicate the knowledge, right?
Right. Experience comes a long way. It's like a jump shot that you do compared to a jump shot I do may look the same from someone from the outside, but it's totally different. It all starts from within, and there's a whole bunch of different intricacies, and without going so super damn meta into it, it's just like one Kamehameha is different from another one. I mean, according to Dragon Ball, Roshi's Kamehameha is still perfect, and Goku's is still imperfect. Yet we've seen Goku sit there blow up planets with this shit. So it's all a basic variation of someone who puts time and effort into it. Recognize can definitely look into seeing a person's attack, but in my RTX's opinion, if he was to train him and give him advice, it's like, unless that comes from within, your power won't have any strength. It won't have any bite. It won't be anything. It's just be an imitation copy. So that would be something that he would be able to, learn from his mentor, and that's something that RTX can eventually, teach to whoever wants to learn.
If there was a tournament that was happening with all of the universes that existed and their strongest fighters, you could choose any 2 characters in Haven to go with you into this tournament as allies and teammates, which 2 characters would you take with you?
Right off the top, Tempest, and Anarchy 12. And the reason why is because Tempest provides a lot of support. RTX is as strong as he is, but a lot of the major fights that he's been in haven't been solo bouts. It's always been a situation where he's been with other players. I mean, well, yeah, there was a tournament and stuff, but the Gamma Fiend was defeated by the all effort of all three of us. And one, we've had experience fighting together, but two, Tempest is very good with support, extracting time and utilizing time in certain different ways, and being able to speed up and slow down certain situations is very control of the battlefield. Anarchy 12 has creative, what's the word for it? His has technology. His has the creative capacity to create constructs and metal constructs and be able to take care of everything else. If anything, and no offense to Art for Anarchy 12, but he would be in the play structure, he would be the rogue. He would be the stealth, the ninja type of person. RTX in a sense would be the tank, and and also Anarchy 12 can be damage dealer and stuff like that. But yeah, it would be 12. It would be Tempest, only because we fought together and we have really good, without actually even talking to each other, cohesion in our attacks and stuff. We each offer something different to the table, and we can all work off of each other.
Yeah, you are like the OGs. You're like the first alliance.
That too. Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Do you think you, Anarchy, and Tempest could ever eventually work together again? I mean, at this point, shit looks pretty.
It's I don't know. To be honest with you, because so much has happened. Like, so much has happened since, the attack on Gate Center and Makai's death. And so much has been going on to the point where it's like, I felt like RTX doesn't have a moment to breathe. It's like one thing happened after another. So there's going to be a situation of dueling ideas. One, you definitely see all the people who listen to this and listen to the show, they see Tempest's motives, they see 12's motives, and they know that they're actually on the differing opposing sides and stuff. But RTX is sitting there in the middle because it is a motive that he has. It's a personal motive, but it also kind of straddles the line of balance and stuff. So can there be cohesion? Yes, I'm pretty sure there's going to be multiple situations that's going to be presented and thrown at us that's going to force us to work with each other. But at the end of the day and everything, 12 represents chaos. Tempest represents harmony and peace. And then, who knows? Maybe my character's where he stands is what bridges the gap, or maybe it's what causes a disruption.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, how everything kind of just fell into place, because I did definitely want to drive a wedge in between chaos and order, and I feel like the Survey Day naturally put that wedge in there. You're on either one side of the history or not, and
right.
You took Anarchy took sides, and as did Tempest. His character would never join the Survey Day.
It's honorable for him not to do that, but it's also not logical. And when it comes down to 12, it's, he can gather a whole bunch of information, but his whole character, see, there's positives and pros and cons to both of them. Like Tempest being where he needs to be there, and it's good for him to be on that side. And 12 doing what he needed to do, I think that's also really good as well, because it's going to be something where we get to see more of the Survey Day through 12's interactions and stuff, and how they end up basically coming across, and it plays towards his character. So, in my opinion, it's great that it happened that way.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Survey Day, what are your thoughts on the instigator? He kind of just came out of nowhere.
He did. I mean, a lot of this came out of nowhere, and I would love to sit there because, there's always going to be someone behind, something as far as to see the Survey Day be. It started off as something lightly mentioned, or another new faction, and as big as Gamma Haven is, as many powers as they have, as any creativity. We have the Wang Gang, and then we have the Survey Day, and then we have a big ass Mother Goose type of thing. There's a whole bunch of different situations that you really can't take something seriously until it's starting to flip the whole world on its ass. And then the Survey Day is the one that's sitting there. It's like, I think there was one impressive thing where it's like, I think they did a call to arms or something like that, and then the whole city had everyone on their roofs and stuff. And it's like, when you see that happening, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't just some gang that happens to be, this isn't just a flavor of the month gang or whatever. This is something that is significant. It's been embedded and stuff. And Instigator has that type of what's the word, nuance to it. It's like, okay, so if the Serbi Day is this big and this intricate and this powerful and this and what have you, then the instigator, the guy, the man behind it, has to be of a problem. I don't think even with RTX's, he's the strongest of Haven. So what? Like right now, it's like that's not going to be enough to take on the instigator. And unfortunately, the light and the instigator are right in our faces and stuff. And we got players dropping like flies and armless RTX and a whole bunch of shit. So it's to answer the question. Yeah, it's going to be, I can't get a grasp on him other than the fact that just little personality aspects and stuff. But it's a lich. I get this like feeling like he's a lich or some type of like mad warlock type of feel, even though is that said in this card? I don't know, whatever. But right now,
on his character sheet, he mentions that he is a lich, and a warlock. So you're dead on. You're dead on.
And
evil shit.
Going against that type of thing, it's gonna be tough. I mean, it's gonna be a situation that's gonna have us having to all work together just to have a surviving chance. I think with the fact of everyone kind of dropping down like flies is because we have a lot of new players who aren't strong enough to take on the big things right now, and they just couldn't rank to survive. And when it came down to just everyone of the strongest nature, us, like as we were talking about earlier, 12's on the opposite side. Tempest is trying to help me out, but unfortunately turned to dust. Like it's going to be a situation where we're faced against odds where having one strong guy is just not going to be enough, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yes, you're exactly right about that. The game is going to progress the way it always has progressed, and new characters are going to come in, and they kind of just came in the middle of a war, at the end of the world, essentially.
Hey guys, welcome. Now die.
I jump onto Discord. I look in I read through all the comments and stuff. And one day, I just remember I just jumped on there into the Sandwich Maven's Haven. And you had wrote something that literally had me dying. You said, new arms, who this?
Right. I was kind of happy too, because I'm like, yo, okay, so being a director, you have everything and you're already privy to a lot of information. And when I'm sitting there listening to RTX, I'm sitting there like on my bed, I'm just like staring at the TV like, okay, come on, let's see if we can get this shit done. Okay, let's see if this movie can, come on, let's see if we can make this happen. And then boom, no arms. And I'm like, fuck, like, it's and then it's like, like the healing things, he gets new arms, and the way you said it, more resilient than before. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like, it's, yeah, okay, I'm going into Haven, like I'm ordering all the fucking sandwiches with my new arms. Oh, they're too bright. Let me get a long sleeve real quick.
Yo, I wish you could visualize or see how I imagine the way R-Type looks with those arms. Like, it's oh man, I'm going to start getting this artwork out soon. I have some really cool ideas that I want to start pumping out. But once everything's in its right place, it's just about pacing. What is your theory on the light? You mentioned, I saw you say something in the Discord service that I thought was interesting. Did you want to share that?
Yeah, and it's difficult because I don't want to step on creative toes. Like, I don't want to sit there and if so, let me just say this, and hopefully, I hope it's not the answer. But I feel like the light is a reset button. When you call these episodes the big tank, I mean, the first thing I thought of was like an aquarium. And what does one do when they have an aquarium with multiple organisms and beings or whatever? It's Gamma Haven is essentially a tank. It's something where, we can assume the Serbi Day or the Serbi Day leaders, the aliens, or whoever is watching, formulating. I mean, the primary focus of the Serbi Day was to get the ultimate G-type. This is a testing ground to create the ultimate G-type, and RTX has been deemed as the one closest to being that type G-type right now. And what I think the light is a reset button. And why is the light either a reset button or a catalyst to make the G-type come alive, or maybe a combination of both? So if somehow RTX fails to the task and then falls down again, then the whole Gamma Haven is wiped out. I mean, the fact that everyone is dying so fast, I mean, no offense, but the last time someone died was a huge, huge deal. and now everyone's just dropping like fucking flies. So it's like the light is way too strong, and the reason why I think he is this way because of the scope of his powers. I'm trying to analyze the way he's combating. I really feel like he has like sectional type of reality warping. The way he sits there and just commands everyone to be in front of him and stuff. I think that because he is in Gamma Haven, because we are in quote unquote the big tank, you know, he's going to have this omnipotence type of ability to him and stuff. Can he be defeated? I'm thinking, yeah, but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, man, you're really observant. That's a good theory.
Right, like all the clones and everywhere. Because I mean, I was like going to send Shadow clones to like a certain area, and he like it brings everything together. So it's definitely something that is area of effect. And when you're in the area of effect, and you know, me personally, if I was able to do real-time tactics with RTX, and like, okay, if I see this, I find out what the area is, and then get the out of the area so I can sit there and not be a part of the situation. But you know, that's just what's trying to see what an enemy does in front of you and trying to quickly come up with an answer on the spot to figure things out. And Light was able to press RTX really quickly because he wasn't able to sit there and give him enough time to analyze a lot of things in the beginning. So he had no choice but to sit there and attack him head on. And you know, it's been a back and forth type of situation since then.
Oh yeah. I like how the fight is just spanning over, you know, a course of multiple episodes.
Right. Yeah.
Because you got to think about it. It's all really just one big episode, just broken up, right? So, you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh no, I'm dead." I'm like, "Hold up, the episode's not over."
It's not over. Yeah, and that's interesting because I'm taking this kind of well, but even though I just lost my arms, I'm kind of taking this well because it's, and you know, it's, you know. We'll see.
So Nam Harmony actually sent in a question for you.
Hi, this is Nam Harmony, and my question is, if you could put your Gamma Haven character into a different universe, what universe do you think they would fit best into?
And by universe, she means, I guess, just any form of, you know, fiction, you know, any, you know, a lot of the shows out there, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's going to have to be a shonen option, only because of the combat prowess that RTX emulates. It's going to be something of a shonen type of, I guess, universe. And it just feels like a Dragon Ball type of universe would be it. I feel like that's, you know, the creation of RTX was I kept the saying in mind when it came down to the constant need to keep practicing. The Raylagarian, which is going to be something they're expanding on as well, is in a sense very Spartan / Saiyan in its creation. They have their stance in life because of their combat prowess, and it's not just about combat prowess against combat prowess. We take the Dragon Ball universe and we're to say, yeah, the Saiyans were born and bred for war and everything, and yeah, that makes Vegeta and Goku super popular, but what if there were like 12 other planets, 13, 15 other planets of other quote-unquote Saiyan-like beings? And then this particular one that prevailed over all. And that's what I would bet the Raylagarians were going to be, because they transcend what it takes to fight, you know, as opposed to like just what we know of fighting right now. So yeah, to answer her question, I think it would be best, he'd be best kind of suited in a Dragon Ball type universe, only because of the Saiyan prowess and the constant power output that is easy. I mean, RTX is not really a planet buster right now, but you know, it's going to be something where he's going to be like, he's going to be put to the test facing someone like Yamcha or Tien or even fucking Goku.
Hold up, you said he would be put to the test if you fought Yamcha?
Yamcha is a powerhouse, and this in the scale of Dragon Ball, shit, Krillin is weak as shit, but he's technically the strongest human, and as capable. I mean, I don't really foresee that Yamcha himself would be able to. I mean, me personally, no, I don't think so. But you have to pay respects to the person on the line. So, I mean, Yamcha gets shitted on, but he's really cool in Dragon Ball Fighters. So I don't know. I'm trying to give him a little more. But yeah, I mean, facing someone like Krillin or facing someone like Tien or whatever, or working himself up to the way the Saiyans are.
Because that was going to be my next question. So if you were in the Dragon Ball universe, who would you, as far as power scale, where does, in his current form right now, RTypeX, where would he fall in?
Current form. I want to say Vegeta, I want to. I really do. I think he is Vegeta level. And if we're talking about Dragon Ball Super or the established before, I don't know, but I think I would say he is a Vegeta type level, and Vegeta level is secondary only to Goku because he's not the star. But I would say he is at that level now only because of the capability that he is able to do with energy manipulation. And the reason why I think he has a much more advantage is because RTX, in the way he was created, is like if Goku and Kakashi were to kind of fuse together in a way, like not just their personalities, but like the structure of how they work combat wise. And being able to energy manipulate would be able to work against the other enemy while in tandem with combating the enemy with the same type of force that the enemy outputs.
Okay, I can see that. I can definitely see that. That's an overpowered mix of people, yo. Kakashi and fucking
Goku and Kakashi are.
God, could you imagine that?
Like, yeah, well, I mean, I think we had that conversation long ago. It's like I personally feel, outside of Gamma Haven and everything, that Kakashi and Goku can pretty much be like the Japanese version of Superman and Batman. I mean, put Kakashi against Batman and put Goku against Superman, and it's not going to be an easy fight either way around. So,
damn, I would like to see that. Speaking of face-offs, who do you have winning between Smart Marta and Nam Ki?
That is a good question. Nam Ki and Smart Marta. Nam has her nuclear capability, and her nuclear capability is what actually can cause the fight to actually go against her or for her. If Smart Marta was able to figure out that Nam is working on a time basis, basically she can't really keep her, if she can sit there and figure out that Nam needs to, if she can force Nam to fight longer, the odds are more in Smart Marta's favor. If Nam can take out Smart Marta before she can analyze and figure out equation-wise who Nam is and everything, then it goes into Nam's thing. So to be quite honestly, I think it's going to be a quite even match at this current moment. Until Nam levels up and gets more capabilities and gets more into control what she can do, then she can change that. But as far as right now, I think it's a 50-50 round right now.
Yeah. And we haven't really had a chance to really see, what, Nam really go in. We saw her beat up some people in the jail, but I think after, watching her, put in some work, we might be able to get a better idea what she's capable of.
Right. Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Psycho? The one of the newest female characters that we saw fight.
Psycho is awesome. And the reason why I say Psycho is awesome is because Psycho was introduced brand new to me as the episode was released, and I'm like, wow, this is, this person is really like putting in work and actually causing a change. It's actually that, you have characters in there that might do a little bit here and there, but this character is actually doing something. And then I found out, who the character was created by, and I'm like, wow, that's really awesome. So I hope she's alive. I think she got smacked across the city. I know. Like, Looper unfortunately died. Jax unfortunately died. I wanted to see more of Jax too, because I know Jax was. I feel like Jax was kind of like the Rurouni Kenshin of the Gamma Haven and stuff like that. And I would have loved to see like a RTX, not Art versus Jax or whatever, but I wanted to see something of a sword dog, because I know Jax would probably have sword mastery so he can beat RTX, but I would love to see RTX one from it. Psycho was definitely interesting, very interesting. It came out of nowhere too, because it was a great surprise.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you don't talk about it much, but RTypeX actually has a sword, and he purposely doesn't use it, and there's a reason for that. Can you explain to the viewers why he doesn't use that sword? You mentioned it, and we glossed over it in one of the episodes.
The blade itself has multiple meanings. It has an actual practical meaning. It has a symbolic meaning to RTX as well. Drawing the sword is drawing it. When he draws a sword, he is accepting his role as King of Raylagar. Right now, he can't accept that role because he can't accept himself as his current state, as his current power level, as his current mindset, the people he's trying to find. He can't legitimately walk into that role without drawing the sword. but the sword itself is supposed to be a TKO type of combat move. Once RTX has achieved the level, he's going to be strong enough to unsheath the sword. And when he's able to unsheath the sword, he will know that he is strong enough and has his powers returned to him. And until he can draw that sword, it's almost like a King Arthur type of thing. And he keeps it on him because as of right now, him as strong as he is, the way RTX feels, he's not strong enough at all. And when he is strong enough and he does feel like he has, you know, the mindset, the power set, the completion, when his two separating parts are now finally balanced, he will be able to draw the sword. And when that sword is drawn, it is going to be I envision it to be a galaxy shattering type of thing. It's going to be something where the sword itself is amassing power every single second of every single day, almost akin to what Tsunade does with the metabolic regeneration. It's constantly having energy pumped into it and stuff. Now, I didn't make that a primary thing, only because I wanted to basically be a caveat to when he does become stronger. Like, okay, so now that he's strong enough, you know, he'll be able to draw the sword, and this sword does, you know, this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
By any chance, and it's okay if you don't, because like I said, this is a building game. But does this sword have a name?
Yeah, but I want to change the name. It has a working title name right now called The Key to Victory. And I want to not call it The Key to Victory, but maybe call it a different name that means The Key to Victory.
It's a Keyblade. It's a Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts.
That's why, you know what? Yeah. It's you know, it'd be nice if it was a Keyblade. The Key to Victory is going to be like, you know, again, like I said, what it comes down to when it's the what am I trying to say? The whole motif of the sword itself, and when he's able to unleash it or draw it, then he'd be able to attain the real victory that he's looking for, which ultimately is going to be a sense of self. You know, so
okay.
Yeah, eventually, Key to Victory is what the name of it is right now, but it will definitely be changing only to the point where it'll just sound better, so it's not Keyblade.
You know what I like about this the most is we know, because of your solo series, we know you're going to face stronger enemies. We know eventually you're going to be strong enough to use the sword. But we're gonna laugh. We're gonna look back and laugh at the day when you were fighting the light. I'm not spoiling anything, but let's just say you do overcome the light. It would likely be without the sword, because you're not even near strong enough to use the sword.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just imagine the day when you actually have to use the sword and you're able to use the sword. It's going to be on an enemy that's not the light. I kind of look at like a lot of the shows that I watch. Like, remember back when you think back to the enemies that, you know, Goku fought, he had to really pull out a lot of shit out of his ass to beat them. And now thinking back to those enemies, to the enemies he's fighting now, it's like, those are laughable.
Right. Right. Who the hell's Piccolo?
Yeah.
Like Piccolo was a major fucking deal in Dragon Ball. Raditz? Just like, you know, that's probably what it's gonna be. And then you know what the funny thing about it is, what if he draws a sword and there's nothing but a stick? You know, it's gonna be one of those situations where it's like, now you know that you're sure of yourself, and now you know you can sit there and do it. You don't even need it anymore. Or what if it's like God's fucking tooth that turns into a blade or whatever? It can be like anything at the moment, because he's right now unbalanced. He doesn't know what he's doing right now. But I was even thinking about it. I was like when I heard that RTX's arms are lost, I'm like, shit, how the fuck is he going to draw the sword? He might need this shit. It's like we got a whole bunch of people dying. It's like, damn, he can't draw the sword now. And now it's like, well, got new arms.
You can form constructs out of energy, to your credit, so you'd always be able to, you know, it wouldn't be the first time you actually had multiple arms, which in my head, that scene when you were fighting Smart Marta, that shit looked so tight, man.
Yeah.
That shit.
I saw it in that type of realm too. And actually it's funny that you say that, because it was something along the lines of you know, combat moves that look that very, like, I wanted to sit there and come up with, because I have a problem, and it is a problem for me to come up with too much intricate moves, like time sets or time of day and stuff like that. And I have to kind of, you know, reduce them down to things that are noticeable and very easable to someone to digest, to see. So we all love Dragon Ball. We all love Naruto. We all love Luffy. We know Luffy's Gatling gun. You know, we're able to sit there and he punches to the point where it looks like multiple hands are coming at him, or coming at the enemy. And then it's like, well, what if he actually had the construct of the hands which fucking who's Dogtooth Luffy's fighting in the manga actually did the same thing. He's like, hey, more arms mean more power output, and it's like that's how I envisioned RTX to sit there and do it. And it's you actually saw it before, I guess before you saw it right then and there, and I was imagining it too, so it all works out.
So before we move on to Raven from the codename Raven from Village, I have one last question for RTypeX. Does is RTypeX a Steel Blocks coffee shop dude, a Kibbles and Tits dude, or a Smavens guy?
Smavens. I gotta say Smavens, man. I remember when it was up for grabs on which, I mean, Kibbles and Tits just sounds nice to say. Just say it like, okay, just say it right now. Kibbles and Tits. Just sit with it for a little bit. It sounds nice. But Smavens is where the shit goes down. That's where all the fun shit happens.
Right. All right. So, codename Raven, her solo series, Behind the Silver Eyes. By any chance, did you get a chance to see that on the website?
Yes. Yeah, and I submitted it earlier today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What can we expect to see? Just overall, just a brief synopsis of this, because the solo series, they're going to be a mix of flashbacks, but it's also going to focus a lot on her the character's current endeavors in the world, because you got to remember, in addition to the players that are in the game, there's also NPCs. So we're going to include a lot of the characters that are in the game into your solo series, but also a majority of it will be the NPCs for obvious reasons. So what kind of things can we expect?
Raven, I think you're going to expect multiple things. And the reason why I say I think, only because Raven as herself, when I imagined her, it was like if you were to take Michonne from Walking Dead, right before she actually got buddy with the group, and the way she was as far as to herself, emotionless, by herself, constantly, fighting for herself, but then eventually finds one person and works with them. That's how that's how Raven was created in the beginning. What to expect in her solo series is going to be the personality that was behind the woman that you had seen when you first was introduced to her. More of the super soldier-esque type of version of her, and the Silver Eyes itself as to having a very, what's the word? I want to say paranormal, but I want to say out of this world, this psychological difference to the whole thing. So we have the combat prowess, we have the super soldier. She's, it's all there. We've all seen that before, but the Silver Eyes is going to make the character more interesting, because it's going to reflect on her internally and externally. And there's a lot of situations where I feel like eventually in the future, without spoiling too much of her personal story, that you're going to see a lot of things that her eyes are able to do for her. And now, because they were changed by leave blank, because I don't want to spoil spoil the thing for everyone, but because they were changed, and because she was made to be a weapon, like a instrument, you're going to see how that has a weight on her personality. Okay. And I do want to make the correction, so it's as to not to confuse people. Initially, when I introduced her, I made the mistake and said that she had silver hair. when really you said she had silver eyes. So we can retcon that. We can change that. So going forward, does she have silver hair or not? Let's just say this. Let's say she has silver stripes in her black hair.
Okay, that's tight.
There we go.
Kind of like that dude from fucking Yu Yu Hakusho.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. She's like 30, and then she looks like, she got the hair of a 60-year-old. You know how they're white in there.
Right. She's like the Sephiroth of Village.
Right.
Okay. In regards to her skill set and the mystery of what you would be faced with, the death forces that are in the world, how do you think she'll manage, with her skill set?
She's going to be very, very well, exceedingly well with humanoid beings. Things that can be cut, things that bleed, and things that can be destroyed. The freaks are the main thing that we first saw, and one of the things that she's very well versed in is breaking down the body factor. Yeah, it's a zombie, but the zombie has body parts and joints and a soft skull that you can sit there and puncture and do it. Those things she was going to be very well in, and she'll look like a superhero during those situations. But when we get situations, we're going to get into situations that physical combat prowess is not going to be in shit. I mean, she's going to be literally like a paper tiger out there, and there really is no defense for her to sit there and do that, or to go as of yet that we don't know of. But right now it feels like if it can bleed, if it can die, or if it can be dead again, she can sit there and do that. But I know you, and I know that there's going to be some weird shit coming along. So I'm just thinking like, I'm prepared for even the abnormal type of thing, like some type of godlike hamster coming around here or whatever. They can't be touched, and
the light.
Of course, it's not going to be that way. Yeah,
the light hamster.
This mother, like she's going to be pulled into Gamma Haven. Like, what the fuck? Like, I will want to say this. I do want to say this a little bit more, because to when I don't like, the one thing I wanted to have I didn't want to make another RTX. I didn't want to make another stoic type of person, whatever. But what you're going to see more about Raven is the way she expresses herself through movement. One of my recent submissions, you're going to see Raven likes to move around a lot. She likes, when she's combating and she's fighting and stuff, she likes to sit there and move, as opposed to, if she has the capability of moving around, she's going to run, she's going to jump, she's going to tumble, flip, she'll even bust out a quick dance move or something like that here and there. And it's almost like as if she's not really paying attention to what she's doing. And it's going to really tie into her psychological behavior at that point in time, because she's very calm, she's very quiet, she's very, to herself. But you see more of her personality when her life is on the line, almost as if she's dead and when she's not fighting, but when she's only alive when she is fighting.
Wow. Damn, man, you really fleshed her out, man. That just made me more excited to get this whole series rolling, or just the whole Village game rolling. And I am going to be wrapping up this finale for Gamma Haven. We are going to be doing 2 phases of Village in a row, then 2 phases of Haven in a row. But I really want to zero in on the characters. I'm actually just been inspired by what you just said. Question, and this is my last question, because I like to think about the team dynamic. This is a player versus environment type of game. What, if anything, do you think would kind of trigger Raven? What would make her mad? What is something that a person in the camp could do to kind of make her angry towards them or hostile? If anything, I'm not sure. What's her pet peeve?
Right now, I think Raven saw a dog. Someone has a dog in the village. Joe Mason has, and he has a husky, I think. And I love fucking huskies. And I kind of forgot that point when he had that, and so I made sure to kind of add that somewhere in the character. Like, she loves that husky. She's gonna, I imagine Raven walking in there and not even noticing the people, but noticing the dog itself, and kind of like, having almost like these quiet little, almost like slice of life type of, comedy moments to herself, where she's like looking at the dog, and if the dog's not paying attention to her, she's sad or whatever. Someone touches that dog, I'm pretty sure everyone in the village is gonna die.
I think Harmony's what you at. Harmony, I think, took a liking to the dog as well.
Yeah, like that dog is gonna be like the mascot. Like, that dog's getting protected. Women and children first, and husky first, then the women and children. But no, I mean, I think that's gonna really tie into her stance in life. Right now, Raven is going to show something more different than RTX, which is RTX is going to try to gain balance within himself. Raven has given up on the balance within herself because of how stretched and different the world is, and she is a fractured piece. And now what you're going to see with the Solar series is what those pieces are, and you as a listener are going to try to put those pieces together. A game within a game is the way I see her playing out, and then also trying to survive while the whole situation is going on.
Nice, man. I love how you're thinking about this. And I lied. I do have one last question. It is from Nam Ki.
Keep going. I got all night. Let's go. Let's go.
One last question. It is from Nam, and she asked,
for your village character, what's something that you're looking forward to us either finding inside the school or close to the school sometime soon? Thanks.
Because, and I think she's alluding to the fact that the third floor has not been secured yet. I even kind of alluded to there being some strange things within the school. And of course, outside of the school, Joe had encountered something strange out there that has him injured. I think she's alluding to that.
I would hope that as Raven, I would hope that she gets. Raven right now feels alive when she's fighting. So right now, anything that helps her continue to fight as hard as she needs to is going to be best. I see maybe riot gear. I don't want to try to be like Michonne. I swear I don't want to, but a katana. I mean, a katana is like fucking priceless right now in this type of world. It is definitely what you can do to sit there and dissect enemies, and you can sit there and do it in a widespread motion, or in Raven's favorite fighting style is the draw stand and the EI style, where she constantly draws it out and slashes at people that way and moves around and stuff. And if she can find a katana, she's gonna a katana with a husky etched on it, she's gonna literally piss herself. She's gonna be like, "This is exactly what I need in life. Like, I'm done. I quit village. I got what I needed." Like, but if she can find, weapons or armor or anything warlike or anything, I mean, she will feel something. And when she feels something, it helps her figure herself out right now. So if she was to find something as opposed to something that she can use in combat, whether it be shields, armor, weapons, what have you, helps her help the group out much better.
Now keep in mind. You have some players, you have some characters that could most likely forge something for you. Like Jack, she made those spears out of salvaged metal. And you even have some. I think Nam is even a weapons engineer. She used to create her own weapons. So you may want to, next time, the next phase that comes around,
look into like talking to them. And that's something that I personally want Raven to do. The thing is that I have to separate myself out of the character. I think that what it ends up basically being, until she starts opening up, because right now I think Nam or Harmony in Village is the one she's actually had the most personal contact with. Harmony was in need of training, or she wanted to work or better herself combat wise, and I think that the relationship between them is starting to become something, as opposed to Raven just being another soldier on the battlefield. She's starting to warm up to Harmony. So once Raven starts actually looking Harmony's way and seeing that she can make one of those things, then she's going to actually go down that route and make one. So yeah.
Yes, I love that. I definitely want to capture more of those social moments. That's what really Village is about, the social experiment.
Can I and this can be part of the recording, but I do want to sit there and let me talk to you about this real quick before we actually use this. Should we address the RTX Makai thing?
Sure. Yeah, we can.
Let's do this, because what I wanted to do to kind of clarify the whole air and everything like that is to help the people who are listening understand, and the player himself understand why that happened.
Okay.
So the things I was hoping for, because director threw everything at us at that time, so we didn't really get a chance to relax or do anything. But the one thing that I noticed, and stuff, the reason as to why RTX made that move against Makai was RTX has a resolve. That was the major issue, that during the fight, RTX had an issue with the character of Makai. The resolve that he needed. Makai is a character archetype that's very similar to RTX. And without all this stuff behind, the politics and everything like that, the character inside the game is very, similar, very reminiscent, or very, they're pretty much like, you could put those two peas in the same pod. Very fighter-esque type of people. When RTX masked that energy, the one thing that he was saying, we said, the dragon, because Makai is a dragon, yes, because he's a dragon, he would understand this. The resolve to push past something stronger was equivalent to, and it's funny that RTX is facing something like the light, because I can imagine that's what Makai was facing against RTX at the time. He was facing against someone who was stronger than him. And when it came down to dealing with the actual final blow, it was the whole testing of resolve. And that was Makai's, not downfall, but that was one of the Makai's thing that he was, and it was the way it played out afterwards when it came down to dealing with Ivan. Like, you saw how he was, his resolve was challenged within himself. He couldn't actually get to sit there and do these particular things. I wanted to take a player versus player moment and actually spin it or make it something that was, really pivotal, that plays to both characters and stuff, because there's a strong possibility that there's Makai and RTX combination and stuff like that in the future. There's multiple options and opportunities to happen. Well, before the whole light and everyone started shitting on us right now, but I'm saying if when it came down to like everyone, doing something, I could even see Makai even surviving after the attack, or and going after and actually going into something where it's figuring out what it is, and RTX figuring out what he is. And this is behind the sub story and everything about what the characters can do, because without that resolve, you can't overcome what's in front of you. And that was kind of like what it was made to basically look like, thanks to you, because you definitely made it look that way. Without the resolve to actually go past what's in front of you, you can't overcome what you can't expect. You have to be able to prepare and overcome for the things that's not in front of you. And that's what the meaning behind, if you're a dragon, that you should understand, because we aren't just, dragons or those who fight like that aren't basically meant, they're hailed by other people as the strongest and the best because they do almost godlike things. And I'm being so damn meta right now. It's not even that serious, but that's what it looks like when it comes down to those fighters who equate themselves that way. So when RTX, sees someone like Makai and he's a fighter, honestly, it's like, okay, he keeps it moving, because as a person who has trained himself to be that, it's going to be that way. So it was going to be one of the situations where it was like, it wasn't trying to be like he killed him, let's walk away or whatever. It was actually going to be a conversation. Me and Tempest was even talking about each other about how it was going to play out and everything. And there's even a thing I wanted to sit there and touch on and try to find Makai and talk to him personally and all this other stuff. And then every day in the light happened, and now it's like, so
you know what? And it's perfect because it kind of sets it up. I think, at least I'm looking forward to when you two are able to get another chance to come face to face, but when you're not distracted by bigger things.
Right.
You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of just any video game, any RPG you play where there's so many things that need to be resolved, but then something comes. And then once you take care of that, at the end, everybody can, you start tying those threads up, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to that. There's a lot of things that are gonna fall back into place. You got to remember, this is the first season. It might seem like it's season 2, but the prequel was the prequel. This is the first season. I'm setting shit up for the long run.
It feels like that way. That's why I was like. That's why I have this kind of like almost, okay, let's see what happens. RTX lost his lives. Okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Like,
all of the players currently, y'all are the first players in what I hope to be a big universe to grow. I'm trying to, I want to compete with the Marvel universe, the DC universe, but instead of a studio full of a bunch of old dudes coming up with characters, it's the players, it's the viewers of P&D. You are the ones that, granted, I take what you're saying and I turn it into other shit, but the foundation is what y'all are coming up with. So you have stake. You are investing into the story of, all of this. As the players grow, so will the characters. And it's a very meta game. There's layers to this shit. So I'm glad you and Tempest are actually discussing how the conversation would play out, because you definitely want it to make sense, and whatever doesn't make sense, that's when I come in and kind of tie it together. So
right. Because I can imagine being on the opposite side of the fence, like, despite what happened and everything that happened in the Discord, like, seriously, what if my character was all of a sudden knocked out like that? And you put time and effort into your character. It's what you created. You put a little bit yourself in there, and it's like, boom, this is what happened. And it sucks to sit there and die by another person and everything. But what I wanted to do was to sit there and turn that into something that's a little more of a, this is a fighter's type of story. This person is a fighter. RTX is a fighter, and they can have a sub story under everything else that is very combat-esque, very, okay, let me sit there and train to become better, or whatever our minds could sit there and come up with and stuff. So, it's definitely something that I felt it was, because it happened so back then in the past, and with everyone dying right now and everything, I was like, okay, I want to hurry up and get past the light so I can sit there and get everything calmed down and be like, okay, let's sit there and start putting and giving more of a personality thing, because I've been in my head too much when it comes down to creating everything. So Ray Lagar is going to be a big thing for RTX. The psychological breakdown of Raven is going to be another big thing for her. So it's going to be a lot of those type of things that people can expect to see from my characters.
Awesome. Yeah, man. On a final note, these are, this is history right here. These are just chapters. These are small chapters, and it's gonna lead to bigger things. When new players come in, it's like when you have these new rappers nowadays who don't really know who Biggie and Tupac was. You're gonna have new players who come into the game, and they're not gonna know about the beef or the history between, RTypeX and Makai, unless someone tells them. And that's what I really like about it, because you had a lot of the new players come in, and they walked in on a war. They walked in on Makai getting bodied. Eventually, you and Makai, I can totally see you and Makai being allies.
This Double Dragon is what I'm sitting there thinking. I think I told him. I'm pretty sure I told him. But I'm sitting there thinking, like, what if Makai comes back and he's like, I got my resolve now, man. I got my shit, and then it's like, now we start doing this like double-headed dragon type of attack and everything. And it's like, I kind of was hoping it was against the light, this all-out Gamma Haven squad versus the light and everything. But hey, like, the story's not over with. And just like you said, like, the new players came in, they saw RTX. We actually have players in here who saw my character and they loved my particular character. They came in and saw the battle of everyone attacking, and then the huge twist at the end, like RTX fought Makai, and now someone's dead, and it's like, that was a huge thing that got a lot of people, I'm pretty sure like the next generation of everyone, who's here, Nam, Jeremiah, all these guys are here because they saw those episodes and they really got, attracted to what you produced and what everyone else, added to the whole game. So it's definitely something that is beneficial.
I'm definitely looking forward to the animated version of that episode, man. And it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, I got to make it happen.